British Royal Air Force Tornadoes from 31 Squadron have taken off from Afghanistan for the last time. The jets were instrumental in the fight against the Taliban. They provided support for troops on the ground, reconnaissance and imagery showing enemy activity, and deployed weapons when necessary.
It's certainly quite a poignant time for us here. I think for a lot of us it's quite an honour to be here right at the end as we're withdrawing from the places that have been the focus of combat operations for many years now.
The squadron has completed 4 tours in country since 2009. Its history in Afghanistan, however, goes back a lot further than recent times.
Number 31 Squadron is one of the oldest squadrons in the Royal Air Force. We were formed in 1915 and we very quickly deployed out to British India. We spent a lot of time in what was then known as the North West Frontier Province, and were involved in the Third Afghan War in this country in 1919. And nearly 100 years later, we're back operating in the same skies.
Back in 1919, the squadron at the time were operating obviously very different aircraft to we have today, but the overall mission was relatively similar. However, today we have a much safer aircraft which can fly a lot higher, a lot faster. We have very accurate weapons systems and very high fidelity reconnaissance equipment.
As 31 Squadron end their tour in Afghanistan, their next deployment may not be too far away. They've been warned they could be called upon to help support operations in the Middle East against the terrorist group ISIS.
At the moment, the Tornado Force is supporting coalition operations in Iraq. Many of the mission sets are the same. It's still reconnaissance, it's still close air support, but this time we're supporting the Iraqi security forces and the Kurds on the ground, as opposed to NATO forces at this time.
Wherever the Tornadoes operate, the jets are well equipped to take on enemy forces on the ground.
In the nose of the aircraft we've got 2 radars. One of them is a more traditional mapping radar which can find targets and find other aircraft. The smaller radar in the nose is a terrain following radar which looks at the contours on the ground and enables us to low fly both at night and in bad weather. On the right hand side we have the gun, a 27mm Mauser cannon, which out here we use with high explosive ammunition. Above it we have the air-to-air refuelling probe. This will come out to the side when it's needed, and then we can plug it into a refuelling tanker to refuel the aircraft while airborne to extend our range and endurance. Underneath the fuselage we have the Paveway 4 bomb. It's a 500-pound high explosive weapon which is both laser and GPS guided. It's a very versatile weapon and it's extremely accurate.
As is this weapon, known as the Dual Mode Seeker or DMS Brimstone.
Both weapons are well suited to the fight against ISIS. Paveway 4 is well suited to buildings and more robust targets, where DMS is very well suited to anything moving or armoured vehicles. It gives us a fantastic capability against moving targets and also has a low collateral damage, to allow us to keep the area of impact around the weapon very small.
31 Squadron's motto is first into Indian skies. They leave Afghanistan nearly 100 years after their first deployment here, and on Armistice Day, a day that marks the end of the First World War, when guns fell silent.
The world has moved on. We find ourselves in different wars, but the thing that remains the same is all wars are a human endeavour, and every war must end with a conversation. If we remember those 2 things, that'll put us in a good place for the next 100 years.
For the NATO channel in Kandahar, this is Mel Breen.